Hello, everyone. All right, today I want to talk to you about something that's a little uncomfortable, but it is absolutely imperative that the conversation happens and that you have a conversation with yourself. And it's something that you are able to face, and that is fear. Now, I want to start with a quick story. When I was younger, I had a friend who had a house with a basement. And for any of you that have ever had a house with a basement, you know that those things, when you're little, can seem a little scary. Now, as I got older, I understood that there was no scary monsters down in this basement. But regardless of that, as soon as the light switch went off, I had to run up those stairs because I was afraid of something coming out of a shadow and grabbing me and eating me because, hey, that's what all the stories tell me. But this continues throughout my entire life, right? There are many instances that I can look back and I can understand that I had a fear, a reaction to something that was totally baseless, that, was a shadow that I was manifesting into this beast of a monster or a challenge that I had to face. And the reality was is that it was just my own fear. Now, our fear derails us. It keeps us from the successes by planting these seeds or manifesting these ideas in our head that are basically false. You know, when you look deep into what fear is and kind of how that manifests, there's tons of videos and tons of research that they've started doing through brainwave patterns that understand what fear is, where it comes from, and how you can actually harness it. And it empowers you to actually take action. So in our little, like I would call it a reptilian brain or caveman brain, like there's this little pocket of your brain that is designed to keep us from dying. When we were cavemen, it would be, hey, if you hear something in the middle of the night, it sounds like a branch breaking, it could be a lion. So you have to get alert, right? That's real fear. Fear is something that happens externally that creates a boost of adrenaline, some behavioral effect inside of you to take action. And that's what I want to focus on. This fear that you are focusing on is literally just a message from inside your brain telling you in your body to take some action. Now, that's where the whole fight or flight concept comes up. And I don't want to get into all the details, but you have to understand the context of where fear actually comes from. Fear is actually a good thing. Fear is this emotional response to a threat, and it's fundamental to our survival mechanism. Our ancestors saw, or understood this, and they learned to leverage it. But fear is also an emotional response when you're about to lose something or someone, and it makes you want to either keep it, and it puts you into action. But here's the problem. This sensation, this emotion that you have, this experience, or that you're manifesting around fear is what's actually stopping you from either chasing your dreams, asking for that promotion, that raise, asking for the job, asking for the client, whatever it is. That fear is what's holding you back. Now, how do I define fear? I see fear as an acronym, FEAR, and it stands for false evidence appearing real. Now, when you think of fear and you start having that emotional reaction to something and you remember this is false evidence appearing real, that allows your brain to then trigger into, is this false? Is there a real, or is it just a perceived danger in front of me? Are you going to be hit by a truck? Are you going to fall off a cliff? Is a lion going to eat you? Those are real fears. Now, is it a fear that somebody is going to look at you and say, oh my gosh, this guy's a bozo? Or you're going to say something and somebody's going to contradict you? Those are real fears also, but I'm telling you now, you're not going to die from those. And you know this. So what you have to do when you want to grow is to learn to step out of that comfort zone. Face those fears. You're not going to die. You're not going to commit career suicide by doing this. Well, I sure hope not, because if you're following this program, that's not what I would be kind of telling you to implement. But this idea of fear being false evidence appearing real then starts framing your mind as saying, okay, I'm afraid to do video. I'm afraid to put myself out there in some way. Then ask yourself, what one thing can I do to start facing that fear? You don't have to jump into the pool head first. Dip your foot in. How would you do that? One status update, one quick video, one comment on somebody else's post, either acknowledging what they said or giving a difference of an opinion based on your own research and your own knowledge. This is how you start that kind of machine running. Eventually, you'll get to the point where you start really either facing those fears head on or you eliminate those fears and you start putting yourself out there in this authentic way that allows you to express yourself without the fear of any repercussions. Seth Godin has this great quote: anxiety is nothing but repeated re experiencing failure in advance. Listen to that again. Anxiety is nothing but repeated re experiencing of a failure in advance. Anxiety is literally just thinking into the future. You're predicting the future, and we all know that we cannot do that. We can manifest our future, we can anticipate the future, but we should not be becoming anxious because of some future failure that we can take care of in the moment. Great quote by Seth Godin. Now, are past failures evidence of future failures? No. We all know that where we're at today may have to do with what decisions and our environment over the past however many years, but we all know, or I hope you believe, that you can change that. You can rewrite the book. You can make a new chapter in your story anytime you want, starting today. Maybe you started yesterday, but whatever it is, you have that power. So why give your emotion more power than what you know you're capable of? Don't have this fear of failure. These past failures, maybe you've tried things, maybe it didn't work, maybe you just didn't have enough resources or enough understanding about what had to be done. Those past failures create this false evidence. If you're continuing to learn, if you're continuing to grow, if you are constantly focusing on never-ending improvement, all this past evidence shouldn't be holding you back. It should be actually educating you, which it probably is, to where you're at today to continue pushing forward. That fear should become a motivation to then figure out what the next thing is. What don't I understand? What don't I know about whatever it is that I'm trying to do that is going to allow me to break through that? Because once you understand what's holding you back, is it a fear of rejection? Start putting things out there and asking for the comments. Start sharing things with your friend groups. I mean, if you're already building your connections on LinkedIn, this is already the case. Don't believe that past failures will equal future failures, because if you're learning in the process, all those past failures, learn and get educated in the process. Thomas Edison, how many times did he try and invent the light bulb? Thousands. He only needed it once, and look how that turned out. Past failures do not equal future failures.